Hey guys, EDDBUD here, and it's time for another episode of Running Shoe. Yay or nay? If you've never seen one of these episodes before, then I need to explain. This isn't me saying that I think the shoe's terrible or a waste of time or it's a definite goer. Definite goer? You know what I mean. Obviously I'd need to get the shoe in hand and on foot to do that. So this is purely whether I'm going to test the shoes out in the future. Glad we got that straightened out. First shoe today is the Adidas Ultraboost 21. Another shoe that's been released with very little fanfare, aside from loads of very well put together marketing videos by Adidas. Runners just generate enough fanfare these days for the shoe manufacturers to not bother really. People have mentioned that this shoe has a huge amount of boost. Apparently there's 6% extra. I'm not sure whether that's a good thing or not. Strangely though, they only suggest that the stack height in the heel is 30.5mm and then 20.5 in the forefoot. So roughly 10mm drop overall. I'm sure that stack height's higher than that though. Certainly a redesigned upper from the previous iteration of the shoe. Looks a little more traditional to me. And that heel flare is rather reminiscent of a couple of different shoes actually. Some of the stuff that's been coming out from Hoka recently, and also that Mizuno Wave Rider Neo that I tried out a few weeks back. In fact, it looks almost exactly the same as that heel. As I said, there's more boost in the midsole of this new version of the shoe, and I guess I've got to put more in because otherwise it wouldn't be the Ultra Boost. It would be the minimal boost or the little boost, and that just sounds rubbish. The collar around the heel as well looks a little bit like the Infinity React Flyknit, that first version. Bit of a mishmash of lots of different things, this one. I'm glad to see the torsion system improvements here. Underfoot. Adidas reckon it's going to stiffen up the ride in the midfoot area and perhaps give a little bit more rigidity. Having tried the Ultraboost V4 and the 2020 version, I'm almost obliged to try out this next one. I'm really glad to see that Adidas are continuing to utilise recycled materials in terms of the yarn of the upper. So, just for kicks this time round, to give it one last go, I'm going to say yay for the Ultraboost 21. Shoe 2 today is the Nike Pegasus Trail 2 Goretex. So this Goretex version of the Pegasus Trail 2 seems to be aimed at very, very wet weather, of which it should be on everybody's radar here in the UK. Loads of waterproof features here, from the Goretex upper to that faux gaiter in the back, round the heel. It almost sounds a little bit too comfortable to wear in the wet weather, like you're sort of not truly experiencing running when conditions are very, very moist. I think one big issue that I have, and lots of other runners out there have, is the difficulty in trying to get shoes dry after utilising them in such conditions. This shoe certainly seems to be geared up to try and remove that problem. Everywhere I read a weight of 333 grams here for a UK size 10, so certainly going to be a very weighty shoe. Although it does appear that that's the weight given for the standard version as well, so I don't know whether there is a little bit of a difference between the Goretex and standard versions in terms of weight. I think I've got a load of other trail shoes in my rotation right now that really fit what I need. The routes, the terrains, they just work for me right now, and it's not like I'm out on the trails every single day, so I think that does limit perhaps the potential of this shoe. Just a little bit too niche for me, this one. I think other shoe tubers have covered it enough already. So I'm going to say it's a nay for the Pegasus Trail 2 Goretex. Humorously, I did read that Nike suggests that the underfoot feel of this shoe is like a slipper on a mattress. What is that supposed to mean? I just don't get it. Shoe 3. Next, we're talking about Asics and the Gel Nimbus 23. I gotta say, I really, really like the aesthetic look of this shoe. There's a whole variety of different Asics technologies here. It's a little bit like a mega mix. Do you remember those mega mixes? I mean like a good one, not like Jive Bunny and the Master Mixers or something like that. They were terrible. In the midsole here, we have Flight Foam Propel, as seen on the Evo ride. Asics have even managed to shoehorn some gel into the heel. It does look a little bit like this is a Asics best of shoe. We got hints of the Glide ride in there, the Evo ride, the Meta Racer, even the Nova Blast. You can see little hints of all of those shoes in the Gel Nimbus 23. Certainly a more traditional style running shoe though, and I can think of loads of people, certainly in the local area, who'd be really interested in this one. I enjoyed the midsole foam in the Evo ride, and the gel worked well for me in the glide ride. The upper heel looks very similar to that used in the Evo ride as well, which I enjoyed. It was a good fit. All in all, this shoe's very tempting to try out, as it really does fit in a certain pigeonhole of shoe that I haven't tried out on the channel as of yet. I'm keen to provide some reviews on all sorts of different shoes across the whole spectrum. As such, it's a yay from me for the Asics Gel Nimbus 23. I know that Mr. Steve Lai and Paul Card of my local running club will certainly be very keen to see how this one shapes up. Maybe I'll be able to run like the wind, like those two guys, or maybe I just always eat too much pizza. Last but not least today, shoe 4 is the Nike Terra Kiger 7. These look set to launch very soon, and there's a few reasonable changes here from the last iteration. They've moved the Zoom Air from the rear up to the forefoot, so kind of like the Pegasus 37 and the Vomero 15. And we've got the continued use of React in the midsole. The Kiger 5 and 6 before it had rear air units, so it'll be interesting to see how it changes the actual feel of the shoe. Nike just making a few minor changes to this model in this iteration, where they're making bigger changes to lots of other shoes. That midfoot wrap system appears yet again, as been featured on past versions of the shoe, and a more reasonably sized tongue length this time to protect the top of the foot. I think the biggest update here in the 7th version of the Terra Kiger is that of the outsole. Certainly a more robust outsole pattern this time. Could make it a little bit more usable on different types of trails. Certainly an increased number of protrusions there. And they've removed that mid to rear sticky rubber section that always used to appear on the outsole. I think I expect this one to be close in weight to the previous version of the shoe, and cost too, and it does look like it will retain that nimble nature that the previous versions of the shoe had. Not really on my radar this one. I've got enough trail shoes to be going at the moment. I think the Terra Kiger 5 didn't really bowl me over that much, and I don't see a huge amount here that makes me want to test this one out. So for me, it's going to be a nay for the Nike Terra Kiger 7. Let me know your views and thoughts on these 4 pieces of footwear today, guys, down in the comments. A quick musical interlude for you. So back in 1990, Neil Young and Crazy Horse released possibly one of the most distorted albums of all time. In fact, I think it might have been released in 91, but I think all the recordings, as it's a live album, were from 1990. Every single track's just drenched in distortion and feedback, and the songs are all the better for it. Certainly on form at the time, the band just sounds so good. All the component parts are just perfect, really. There's some exceptional solos from Neil throughout the whole album. There's an incendiary version of Rockin' in the Free World, and epic version too of Like a Hurricane. For me though, one of the best tracks is track 3, Blowing in the Wind, a solo version just with Neil on his electric guitar and vocals. Really is quite poignant actually, and always gets you to your very core. So if you're into distortion and you're into Neil Young, Weld is the one to check out. Okay, thanks for sticking with me through to the very end of the video, guys. I very much appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button and click the bell below for notifications of when I launch those new videos. And it really helps the channel out too if you give this video a thumbs up like and share this video with your running buddies. My name's EDDBUD, and I'll be seeing you